Jude Bellingham's celebration is becoming iconic right before our eyes, as we see it almost every time Real Madrid plays. The Englishman's fantastic run of form has already made him a contender for the next Ballon d'Or, while many other athletes, including the tennis player Carlos Alcaraz, have now adopted Jude's trademark celebration. So in today's video, we would like to tell you more about other examples of celebrations that went down in history of our favorite game. But before we get into it, here's our today's question for you. Which one of them assisted Mario Balotelli in that very Euro 2012 game against Germany? Pirlo, Marchisio, Montolivo. Messi, tribute to his grandmother. Let's begin with Messi, who in addition to all his goals, titles and records, provided us with a memorable celebration. When the Argentine scores a goal, he often crosses himself and lifts his fingers to the sky. That is Leo's tribute to his late grandma, who in fact was the one to launch his football career and take little Messi to training. I was probably the smallest one, even compared to those of my own age, Messi recalled. But they needed an extra man, and my grandma asked the coach to let me play. And the coach said, how could we let him play, he's too small. But my grandma insisted on me joining the game. Everyone at the club loved her, so in the end she managed to persuade the coach. As for other notable celebrations by Messi, we have to mention the one against Real Madrid in 2017. Leo taking off his shirt and showing it to the Santiago Bernabeu crowd to mark his 500th goal for Barca. By the way, Ronaldo did the same celebration later that year as he scored against the Blaugrana at Nou Camp, a spectacular page in the great book of Messi and Cristiano's rivalry. Cristiano Ronaldo, C. There's no way we can now overlook Cristiano's trademark celebration. He takes a run up, then jumps, gives a C shout, lands and holds an epic pose for a moment, a move of incredible popularity. This celebration brings me luck, so I'm not going to drop it, said Ronaldo. His C with the addition of U at the end of it became a meme at the Ballon d'Or ceremony in 2014. That was the way Ronaldo celebrated his award. C! Why C? Well, that means yes in Spanish and Portuguese, no hidden meanings involved. The first time Ronaldo performed this celebration was in Miami when he scored in the International Champions Cup final. My teammates know I shout that every time I score or celebrate a victory. It's our thing now. This is how Ronaldo explained the origin of his iconic celebration. It all began in summer 2011 when Real Madrid were having a pre-season camp in the United States. At the training ground, the Los Blancos footballers started shouting C. Ronaldo and Benzema went scoring, Ramos went performing a bicycle kick, Marcelo went nutmegging an opponent, and Casillas after a flashy save. But in the end, it was Ronaldo who made it a world-famous move and a part of his legacy. Eric Cantona, the King celebration. This kingly celebration speaks for himself. It was first performed by Cantona after he scored a fantastic goal against Sunderland. Without a hint of emotion on his face, the Frenchman looked around, then looked at the Old Trafford stands and slowly lifted his arms in triumph. Long live the king. It wasn't the only time Eric celebrated his goal in such a fashion. And looking at this move of his, there's no surprise the Frenchman later became an actor. Such charisma definitely deserves recognition. Ronaldinho, Shaka. Ronaldinho's trademark Shaka gesture was no less iconic than his smile and his long hair. The Brazilian would at times celebrate goals with a bit of samba, but his Shaka is what kept his company throughout his whole career. The idea came to Ronaldinho after he watched a live show of a Brazilian band Molejo. The musicians were showing that very gesture while playing the song Samba Rock. It was that song that made me celebrate goals like that. That gesture just stuck with me, admitted Ronaldinho. Peter Crouch, Robot Dance. This celebration is the first thing that comes to our mind when we hear the name of Peter Crouch. Back in 2006, the striker first celebrated a goal with a robot dance, which looked very extravagant should we consider his height. The lanky robot's dance soon went viral and became an essential part of Peter's image. He even performed it in front of Prince William before the Euro 2008. People tend to ask the striker to make a robot dance anywhere he goes, but Peter actually fancies that. As he once admitted, he only makes the dance when he gets drunk. Once upon a time in Ibiza, I heard someone shouting, "Hey, it's that robot guy," and my friend said to me, "Wait, wasn't that Mickey Rourke?" And we turned around and actually saw Mickey Rourke doing the robot dance. Robbie Fowler sniffing. There were a lot of epic celebrations in England. Not to forget Robbie Fowler pretending he was sniffing a cocaine in the touchline after he scored a goal against Everton. For that, the Liverpool striker received a £60,000 fine from his club, as well as a 4-game ban. The manager Gerard Houllier tried to step in for the striker, as he claimed Robbie's celebration was nothing more than a tribute to his teammate Roberto Song, who once pretended he was eating grass. As for Fowler, he claimed that his celebration was his response to Everton fans accusing him of doing drugs. It was indeed a very controversial celebration, though a most memorable one at the same time. Wayne Rooney KO. After Wayne Rooney found the net against Tottenham, he rushed to corner flag, threw a couple of punches and fell down on the pitch as if knocked out. His celebration went viral, but many still don't know about the actual reference. A month before, Rooney and his ex-teammate Phil Bradley had a joking boxing sparring in Wayne's mansion. Bradley seemed to have a bit too much power in his arms, so he accidentally knocked Wayne out. Though Rooney's self-depreciating celebration was a total blast, he said he wasn't going to do it again. My wife went to pick up my lad from school and saw him doing that in the classroom. I'm sure you won't be seeing that again. I've always loved boxing. Unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't go too well for you. I was caught on the wrong end of a punch, but I wasn't knocked out like it was reported. Daniel Sturridge, party dance. Though Daniel Sturridge has never been among the greatest, he's remembered for a couple of impressive seasons at Liverpool, and of course his trademark celebration, which launched a challenge on the internet. This is how Daniel first came up with the idea. I was hanging out with my cousins and my friends in my apartment. There was some house music playing, a couple of drinks flowing, It wasn't as smooth, it wasn't as clean, but I was a little bit tipsy and just decided to start moving that way. We all found it hilarious, and there I was just like, you know what, if I score, I'll do it. I think the very first time I did the dance, we played Man United in the Carling Cup at Stamford Bridge when I was playing for Chelsea. That was the first time I brought the dance out. Mind you, it's evolved a lot since then. It wasn't as smooth or as clean as it is now. And not to forget some other legendary celebrations from the Premier League. Alan Shearer's raised arm, nothing special, but still not bad. Thierry Henry's knee slide, one which has been immortalized in the Frenchman's monument by the Emirates Stadium. And Didier Drogba crossing himself and making a knee slide, pure power from the Chelsea legend. Emmanuel Adebayor taunting Arsenal fans. Now to one of the nastiest ever celebrations. Emmanuel Adebayor scored a goal against his old club Arsenal and burst out celebrating before his old fans. And that was fully intentional, as the striker deliberately ran towards the stands across the whole pitch. While it did look unsportsmanlike and disrespectful, Adebayor still had his own reasons to do so. I remember getting to the stadium and Arsenal fans were there. All I heard was the chant, "Your mother is a whore and your father washes elephants." My father worked in currency exchange and my mother is a businesswoman. But this went on and on, so how can I reply? I didn't have a voice to go against thousands of supporters. Interestingly, before that incident, Adebayor would claim he didn't want to leave Arsenal and Arsene Wenger actually forced him away. It's up to you to decide if you believe Emmanuel or not. That doesn't make his celebrations less scandalous, though still iconic. Luca Toni, hand by the ear. Another incredibly popular move made famous by the Italian striker Luca Toni. Luka, known for his sparring performance, was a player of great athleticism, tall, strong and agile, and not only was a prolific striker but often scored with style. That very move became his go-to celebration quite spontaneously. Luka was having lunch with his friends after a training and one of them said, "Hey, have you seen my new car?" and rotated his hand next to his ear. Tony decided it was a good way to celebrate goals, as if asking the fans, "Hey, have you seen that thing of beauty?" Andrei Arshavin, Shush. Arshavin's trademark shushing gesture used to be a very popular way of celebrating goals both in Russia and in Europe. It became even more famous after that very night at Anfield, when Arshavin scored 4. Its origin dates back to his Zenit days. Andrei's side was playing away and facing insults from the home crowd. It was then when Arshavin first silenced the crowd after he scored, the gesture he adopted as his celebration and later patented. Best team celebrations. Team celebrations can be no less spectacular than individual ones. How about this chicken celebration by the Brazil national team at the 2022 World Cup? Even the head coach Tite could not resist the temptation to join it. However, Tite's grace is nothing compared to Alan Pardew's. The Crystal Palace manager was just too excited with his team scoring against Manchester United. But back to team celebrations. How do you like this mannequin performance by Jamie Vardy and his England teammates Walcott and Sterling? And this amazing one performed in an old boy fashion by the Japanese Hidetoshi Wakui. No wonder the samurai celebration soon went viral. And a really shocking one by the Polish side Cracovia. The team rode an actual car on a football pitch and even managed to avoid any injuries. And the one you've probably already seen, the Icelandic semi-pro club Stjarnan was renowned for its team celebrations, and this one, fishing, was probably the most famous of them all. "I went fishing with my father once and it just hit me," said the Stjarnan striker Halldor Bjornsson. "I suggested we imitate the fishing of salmon and my teammates liked the idea. Johan Laxdal was the one to play the fish, as lax is the Icelandic for salmon. It was just too obvious." Aubameyang and Royce, Batman and Robin. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is a player with the most eccentric personality. He would have probably kept on celebrating his goals in a superhero fashion, but the €100,000 fine from his club had its effect on the striker's creativity. However, their Batman and Robin celebration with Marco Reus against Schalke is nothing short of legendary. Another Aubameyang's teammate involved was Henrik Mkhitaryan, performing a flashy folk dance which also looked quite spectacular. Samuel Eto'o, Old Man. This gorgeous celebration by Samuel Eto'o was meant to mock the rumors about him being 40 years old. In a match against Tottenham, he addressed his manager Jose Mourinho, who complained about the lack of a world-class striker before the Champions League match against Galatasaray. Chelsea's problem is that we don't have a proper striker. We only have Samuel Eto'o, who is 32 or probably 35 years old, I don't know. Meanwhile, the striker's ex-girlfriend actually claimed he was around 40, but Eto'o decided to stay away from all the rumors and controversies and answer his haters on the pitch instead. Francesco Totti, Selfie. Francesco Totti had his own trademark celebration, sucking his thumb, which was dedicated to his pregnant wife and later became a tradition. However, today we would like to remind you of another one by the Roma legend. In a match against the arch-rivals Lazio, Francesco grabbed an iPhone and took a selfie in front of the Roma fans to celebrate his goal. "I was thinking about selfies for a week, learning how to take them. It's the fashion nowadays. While I don't like exposing my personal life, but it was a once-in-a-lifetime chance. It was my phone and I asked the coach Guido Nano to give it to me in case I score," said Francesco Totti. Just like many other celebrations from our list, this one became viral as even Mario Balotelli recreated it after he scored for Marseille and posted the video on social media. Speaking of Balo, there's no way we can overlook his celebration against Germany in a Euro 2012 match, which became a world-famous meme. Antoine Griezmann, a video game reference. The most important thing about a goal is the celebration. That is what Antoine Griezmann once posted on his Instagram. And the Frenchman is indeed among the most creative players in terms of celebrations. His most famous one is his dance with his hands by his forehead. This move is called Take the L, and it comes from the Fortnite Battle Royale, a popular video game. This move is used to mock opponents as if telling them to accept their defeat. Take the L. Paulo Dybala, Gladiator. Though Dybala partially failed to live up to the enormous expectations, we're still going to remember his talent, as well as his signature celebration. That's how it first came into being. It happened in 2016. I talked to my family and friends and told them I needed changes. A new season was coming and I wanted to change something about myself. I'm a big fan of the Gladiator movie and stories about gladiators in general. I remember that gladiators would put on a mask before fights and thought about wearing a mask myself. And that became a symbol. Wherever I go, whenever a kid asks me for a photo, they always ask me to do that gesture. Bate Gomez, Panther. Many strikers ultimately come up with their own idea of celebrating goals, one to become their trademark. Like Luis Suarez kissing 4 fingers, as explained by the Uruguayan, each finger symbolizes a member of his family, his wife Sofia and 3 children, his daughter Delfina and 2 sons Benjamin and Lautaro. Or Lewandowski putting his fists together. But the most unique one belongs to Bate Gomez, who actually scares people with his Panther celebration. Gomez is currently playing in Saudi Arabia, and not that long ago, he happened to scare a ball boy to death with that very celebration. After the game, the Frenchman found the boy and presented him with his shirt, and the boy recreated the striker's moves on camera. Gomez adapted his celebration back in the early days of his career as he saw the Saint-Etienne striker Alex Diaz do it. And we have to give him credit, Gomez makes it look really scary. Salah and Holland, Meditation. Salah posing on one leg is now among the most iconic celebrations, even though Mo only performed it once. As for another Premier League star, Erling Haaland, the Norwegian seems to love his meditation celebration. Here's what he said: "I like this celebration because I like to meditate. It helps me a lot. I feel my presence in this world, which is good for me. I think it's a really good thing to relax, to try to not think too much, because stress isn't good for anyone. I hate to be stressed, and I tried not to be stressed. The concept of meditation is to try to let go of these kinds of thoughts. It's really individual, but for me, it's worked really well." Alessandro Florenzi and his grandmother. Last but not least, a most touching celebration from 2014. The Roma player Alessandro Florenzi scored his first goal of the season and rushed to the stands to celebrate it with his grandma. For that, Florenzi was given a yellow card, but considering it was the first time his grandma came to see him play, it was totally worth it. She said she would only come to see her grandson score, and Florenzi, a right back, took the risk and kept his promise.